Bring in Larry O'Connor, Mediaite contributing editor. Larry, what is your reaction to this news?
Well, that's a heck of a contract, and it sure seems premeditated, doesn't it, for the Weinstein Company to sort of put that into the language of their agreement. It's as if they knew it was coming, they knew it was happening, and that certainly does expose them, I would think, not just Harvey Weinstein. There's also sort of a shifting journalistic standard, I think. From my perspective as a right-of-center media critic over at Mediaite, I'm looking at this story, I'm looking how NBC News covered it, and here they had in their pockets with Ronan Farrow, their reporter, women who were willing to go on camera and put their names on the record saying, yes, this happened to me. And they spiked the story, saying it didn't rise to their standards. And yet, how many stories do they publish about Donald Trump, the President of the United States, solely based on anonymous sources, people who won't put their names on the record? It seems like they've got a different set of standards depending on who they're reporting on.
In fact, one thing we're learning is that these stories have been pushed aside, covered up, perhaps for more than a decade at some, what most people would consider prestigious media outlets, underscoring the fact that, you know what, maybe the so-called journalistic standard was lost a long time ago.
Well, there's a commingling. I mean, let's face it, NBC News is owned by NBC Universal. NBC Universal is an entertainment property. They make films. They produce television programs. They had to deal with Harvey Weinstein. That's not new. I mean, let's face it. You know, Fox News, Fox Business is owned by News Corp. CNN is owned by Time Warner. This is sort of the world that we're living in. ABC owned by Disney. What's
but
interesting?
The New York Times, I mean, there's some. It took them a very long time to quote unquote get the guts to put this out there. They had the goods more than a decade ago.
Maybe that was a New York thing, as Lorne Michaels would say. It is interesting. I am a radio host here in Washington, D.C., and I opened this up to my callers on WMAL yesterday, specifically asking women. Right now I think this story is perceived to be a Hollywood thing. I asked women, 20 years now after the Clarence Thomas situation and after Bill Clinton in the White House, is this still pervasive? And the stories that you hear, they're all very similar. Women called in and said, yeah, this is still happening, where they feel pressured to start a relationship with someone who is in power, has influence over them. They feel like if they don't acquiesce, they can't get advancement in their careers. And sometimes, that relationship rises to the level of sexual assault, and it just goes unreported because these women feel like they're in real danger, not just career-wise, but in terms of, their actual well-being.
All right, Larry, thank you very, very much. Good seeing you.